Hey, welcome back to the Project Valor podcast. This is episode 4. I'm BJ Soper. This is Jeremiah Pedersen. We're the founders of Project Valor, and we appreciate you coming back today to listen to what we got to say. Our subject matter today is going to be physical fitness. It's a subject that transcends everything that we're trying to do. It's a starting place that we can start to rebuild ourselves as men. And, it's just something that's important that we're going to talk about. So, Jeremiah, this is kind of your idea. So lead us off, man. What are you thinking?
Dude, I think physical fitness it's super important. Like if you want to get disciplined in your life, man, physical fitness I think is probably the easiest way to get disciplined and start that process. Dude, there's so many benefits to it. Like you feel great about yourself for one. So that right there just changes your entire mindset. Once you start working out, it just gives you these endorphins in your brain, and you start looking at yourself differently. You're not just that lazy guy that was on the couch. Like you went to the gym, you worked out, you ran around the block, you walked around the block, whatever it might be. You did 10 push-ups, you did 100 push-ups. Doesn't matter. Wherever you start, dude, you're just going to feel great about yourself, and it's going to be addictive. It's going to be hard to start every single day, but you will never regret working out.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Especially coming back from what we've talked about in the past of looking at yourself in the mirror and going, man, this is just not where I want to be. There's a starting point. There's always a starting point, and it starts with, just like you said, it starts with 10 push-ups. If you can do 10 push-ups, next day, maybe you can do 11 or 12 and you build on that stuff. And the mental aspect of it, is the starting process of building mental toughness.
Mm-hmm.
And mental toughness leads to self-discipline.
Yeah.
Right. And so those are all the things, and it's a starting point, and it's kind of that foundational point of where we're going with Project Valor, because that's what it takes. You have to draw that line in the sand and saying, I'm not staying here anymore. I'm taking a step forward, right? And you start building forward. That self-discipline comes, that mental toughness comes. And with it, dude, there's amazing benefits. Like you talked about, you start feeling good about yourself. You start looking better, right? Other people start seeing you in a different light.
Oh, yeah.
And your mental state comes up. You start to say, hey, I am worth something, right? I do have some self-worth as far as that goes. So yeah, man. So we're going to talk today a little bit about lifestyle, what we just talked about there, how it develops self-discipline and that mental toughness, and how it fits into Project Valor, being the provider, the protector, the husband, and the father as far as that goes. So, and you hit on a couple of notes here. One way to get out of this, that slack feeling, that lazy feeling, part of that is chemical imbalance, right? And it's testosterone. We've talked about this a little bit in the past, so hit on that a little bit.
I don't know much about it, like how it works, but all I do know is like when you start working out, your T goes up.
Yeah.
And when your T goes up, you're just confident. You're more active in everything that you do. You're more zoned in and everything. But it just makes you feel better. That's how I interpret it. You're just more confident in yourself.
Yeah.
Those are the ultimate benefits for me. So yeah, how that makes it, how working out makes T go up, I don't know, but I do know that the science says it does.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about it in general. Let's hit on the husband side of it. No matter what, if you're married or you got a girlfriend, if you start to improve yourself, right, you're feeling better. Guess what? They're feeling better too about you, right?
This is true.
You start looking hot, your wife's like, dude, guess what else improves, right?
Right.
The bedroom improves as far as far as that goes. And with better testosterone levels, you're better as well too, right?
That's a
you
good
don't
point.
need that, especially older. So I turned 50 yesterday, right?
Congratulations.
And, I don't know if it's congratulations or not, but a lot of these dudes, that are on the couch and they've been married a while, what do they turn to? They turn to pharmaceuticals, right? They turn to the little blue pill, right? Dude, when you are in shape, there's no need for the little blue pill, right? You're naturally doing the things that you're supposed to do. And in turn, naturally, your levels are up. That's just fact. I'm sorry. When people are turning to pharmaceuticals to improve their life, they're missing out on the very simple things that you can do without it, which God created for us.
Right.
Right.
I can only imagine if you're taking one of those pills or even tea, you got to know in the back of your head that this is not a natural thing and you are false. Like you're putting on a facade. It's fake.
Good point, man. Good point. It's like you're trying to bring back that youth without putting in the work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
The part of it is you let it slip. right?
Yep.
The reason things ain't working anymore is because you're not putting in the work, you know? So yeah, so those are interesting concepts as far as that goes. But your wife is gonna love you when you start to look better,
Yep.
right? When you start to feel better, not only does when you're confident, so is she, right? When you start to build up yourself, the people around you build up as well too.
Well,
And those are important
it
factors.
changes the whole dynamic in the household because you're the leader.
Mm.
So like us men are the leader. So if you're the husband, you're the father, and you start improving yourself, well, all of a sudden that like everyone sees that, everyone knows what they're doing or knows what you're doing, and they see the change.
Yeah.
And it affects them.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not going to start immediately after you did. It's going to take you some time before you get your results, and then they're going to see the results.
Mm.
So I mean, they're going to be way behind you, but they're going to see it, and then they're going to start to elevate themselves too.
Yep.
So it's a whole process. Yeah.
100%, man. I agree 100% with that. And I mean, I can give you some real world, my life experience, as the father of my house, being 50, I got some older kids, right? I got a 27-year-old son. I got a 26-year-old daughter. I have a 21-year-old son, but I also have a 14-year-old daughter, almost
How many
14.
more kids you got?
None, dude. That's it right there. 4. That's it. It's over. But it's funny, you get down this path, right? And you're showing your kids the results that you're doing and you're feeling confident. They see it, right? I was at my dad's house down in Reno for his 80th birthday party. And, my daughter goes, Dad, you're getting jacked, it's showing. And it's like, guess what happened after that? My son, 27, comes home and what's he do? He goes and he signed up for the gym, right? And he's like, hey, I'm going to do the same thing, right? And then, teenagers, right? My little 14-year-old daughter, they, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. They roll their eyes, this and that. Guess what she sneaks off and does every day? She goes out to the gym and she's running on the elliptical and she's lifting weights and she comes in talking about those things, right? And so it's your level of influence in their life is way more than we ever acknowledge, right? Because you're in that day to day and you just don't see it, but they see it and it transcends over to them.
That's awesome.
So, same thing with you. I mean, you've put the level of like wrestling, which is if there's a physically fit sport where you need to be physically fit, it's wrestling, right?
It's wrestling.
I mean, you want to talk about getting gassed out in a heartbeat, go roll on a mat without rolling on a mat, for 30 years at that point. You just, you think you're going to die. Right.
Pretty much.
So that same things transcends. You're a wrestler. You said, hey, wrestling's required in my family, which I think is absolutely awesome.
I did.
Yeah. So hit on that a little bit.
Sure. So in my family, dude, wrestling is required. Like I told all my kids, like it started out like I wanted them to wrestle. And then it got to a point where like some of them didn't want to wrestle. I'm like, okay, how's that going to work? What do I want? How do I want to raise my kids? That's the question I asked myself. And I realized, like I knew from a long time ago, from being in wrestling myself, like the wrestling develops character. I'm like, okay, so work ethic and character. My kids have to wrestle. And I told them, all right, so I had a conversation. I set them all down. I said, we are a wrestling family. You can play whatever sport you want, but you have to wrestle. That's just how it's going to be. And the reason for that is because of what it's going to do for you in your adulthood life. So we're a big wrestling family. We're all about wrestling, but we're not all about wrestling. We all know that there's life after wrestling. Okay. It's what wrestling does for you in your adulthood. For example, like any challenging thing that could be challenging to somebody that comes up to me, it's just not even a challenge. Like I don't blink at it. It's just, oh, okay, cool. It's work that has to get done. And it's not a problem. Recently, so my son's high school, they do morning runs, and I had actually been not physically active for about a year, which is the longest I've been in probably about 10 years. Not active. I've been active for a long time. So I was like, okay, I got to get back into it. We have a treadmill at home, so I started running that. I was running about maybe a month, and then he says, "Hey, Dad, I want you to come with me to our morning workouts at the high school." So I said, "Oh, you do, huh? I don't know if I can hang, but okay, I'll go." So I started showing up, and they do it 3 days a week. I show up 3 days a week. I roll out of bed, get my clothes on, brush my teeth, and go with the kids.
Nice.
And they love it.
Nice.
Sometimes he's partners with me.
I
Sometimes
think
I'm
about
partners with other guys.
how much influence that has on your kids. It's like,
yeah,
Dad believes in me,
dude.
Right? Dad believes me enough that he's out here with me.
Yeah, and I have seen him improve or increase his workout because he's okay, but he wants to get better.
Yeah.
And so I've seen him work harder, and maybe that has a play to it. Maybe I influenced him.
That's awesome.
So, I don't know.
That's awesome. you know. And on top of that, he probably sees his older sister and goes, man, she's kicking butt, right? She's kicking butt, you
She's
know,
kicking butt.
and dad's real proud of her. I'm not, maybe there's some level of that too, but that's good. That's competition. That's competition. And,
Yeah.
and listen, that's real life, right? Competition is real life. There is winners and there is losers in real life. This what do they call it?
Sure, it is.
The participation trophy, dude. There's none of that in real life.
No.
There's none of that in adulthood. At that point, you either win or you lose.
Yeah.
Right? It's that simple. It's that black and white. And so I love the fact that your kids are out there, they're crushing it and they're going hard. That they're striving to get better. That's what we're looking for. That's Project Valor in a nutshell, without it even being Project Valor, right?
100%, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, man. So yeah, fatherhood, our physical fitness is a direct reflection of how our kids respond to that as well too. I mean, seriously, if you're a fat slob on the couch, how much respect do your kids have for you?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. They still respect their father, but not as much as they would a guy that is out there putting in the work, working all day, still working on himself, working on his family. That commands respect right there.
Yeah.
And respect is everything as far as family matters go.
And it's not just from my own kids. I get a lot of respect from a bunch of other wrestlers in the ring, because they see me and they know, like, okay, this is Max's dad, and they're kind of jealous. Like, hey, Max has his dad in here. Where's my dad? Like, his dad's working out. His dad's part of this. His dad's, look at him. He's running. He's keeping up with us. So they respect me a lot. Just, they don't even know me, other than me showing up on.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, there's so many benefits to, that's just beyond yourself being physically fit, which is the most important, right? It is the most important that you're physically fit. Man, seriously, if you want to be around for your family, you need to be fit. How many guys are dropping dead of heart attacks at 40 now, right? They're sucking down McDonald's, they're sucking down all this fast food, they're pumping all these chemicals out of their box foods that they're cooking, right? There's so much that goes into physical fitness.
There is.
It's not just lifting weights, it's eating well. If you want true improvement, right, and true changing your life, it comes with all of those things, right? It comes in it's a lot of things in a small package.
Yeah.
Right. And so, there's nothing worse than putting in the work and not seeing the results.
Some people would even say eating is more important than physical activity.
Sure.
I don't know about that myself personally, but I mean, there's definitely something true to, what you put in your mouth is what you're going to get out.
100%. And the fact of the matter is like, even if you don't lift a muscle, right, but you drink a 6-pack of soda every day, the second you stop drinking that 6-pack of soda every day, you're going to just naturally lose weight. Oh, yeah. It's just going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's just going to happen. You don't even have to lift a muscle at that point. You should, right? You're making a positive step forward to improve yourself. So keep going.
Yeah.
Keep diving at it. So yeah. So physical fitness, for me, it's become a lifestyle. I was thinking about this morning after I got done with my morning workout. It's like, I was getting ready to go and I'm like, man, you know what? It's actually harder to not do it than it is to do it now. And that's a good place to become, right? And it wasn't always that way. Don't get me wrong. And there's mornings where I'm just like, oh, dude, what if I only do 2 sets, right? What if I just stop at 20 instead of 30, and you can overpower that. And that is where your self-discipline and mental toughness really start to develop, is when you won't allow yourself to fall short. Right. I don't want to say fail because you're doing it, but to fall short. Right. And so that's where setting standards is really critically important. Right. If you just go and do push-ups till you get tired, right, you start to feel it, you get to 10 and oh, my arms are burning a little bit, I'm going to stop.
Oh,
right.
Dude.
What are you going to do? You're kind of wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You're not in a sense. I guess it depends on what your goals are. Right.
That's the thing. You have to have a goal.
You got to have a goal, which is a standard. Right. So you got to have this ultimate goal, but then you also got to set bars to get to. Hey, I'm going to do, we'll stick with the push-ups because that's an easy thing. Okay. I'm going to do 3 sets and I'm going to, no matter what, I'm going to do 15 push-ups, right? From the beginner level at that point. I'm going to do 15. And even if I got to stop, I'm going to do 15. So today I'm doing 45 push-ups, no matter how long it takes me. No matter how many times I have to stop, no matter how many times I do it, I'm going to do 45 push-ups. And you do that, you know what? When you check that box, there's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's day one or you've never even done a push-up before, that sense of accomplishment builds into growing that self-discipline,
Yeah.
right? If you stop at 44, you're going to say, what are you going to say? Oh, close enough, right?
No,
How does
you're
that build?
one
How does
away.
that build?
Yeah.
How does that build your self-confidence, right? It doesn't, right? You fell just a little bit short. And that for me, we've talked about this in the previous podcast. One of my goals was to overcome that non-completion factor in my life, right?
Yes,
Finishing,
yes.
starting something, getting 90% done, getting bored, getting distracted, getting whatever the word, whatever happened there, and moving on to the next thing and leaving something unfinished, Do one more push-up, dude, and you check the box, right? You check the box that you set for yourself. So
Right.
setting those goals, setting those standards for me is a critical task of feeling like I'm actually making steps forward in the self-discipline, mental toughness realm.
You are.
Yeah.
That's just how
It's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
I have a question for you though about when you are thinking to yourself, you're like, okay, maybe I can just do 2 sets instead of 3 sets. Is that before you start or is that after you start?
I think that's like during it. Sometimes both.
Okay.
Sometimes both, right? It's like, oh man, I'm not feeling it. Oh, my shoulder hurts today.
Because I know I definitely feel that like before I start, I'm like, yeah, should I? And I'll doubt myself. I'll question myself. Do I really need to work out? And then, once it's like, okay, I know I have to. I get up. And I'm begrudgingly, I'm slowly doing it. But once I get going, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I typically don't have any problem finishing.
Yeah. That first, just starting, right?
It's starting is the hardest part.
It feels like this giant mountain. It's like, oh my gosh. So like today it was 4 sets of push-ups and ab workouts, two 4-set ab workouts. And I'm thinking this morning, it's like, man, yesterday was my birthday and it was a nice easy day. I could cut myself some slack. I could do that. It just felt like this mountain was in front of me, right? It's like, oh, it's just such a big mountain. And I'm like, dude, stop. It's just push-ups. It's just push-ups. Just do some push-ups, right?
Hey, the
and so you
mountain
get down there.
Is getting out of bed.
Yeah. Hey, listen, my wife got me a weighted blanket for my birthday present. I'm like, man, this is a challenge. This added to the challenge, the self-discipline challenge of getting up at 4:30 and going for that walk. But but yeah, I mean, that's just it. Once you get into it, you break all that negativity that comes out of it. And then you get that first set done. You're like, dude, I feel good. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Just like you're saying, let's go. Let's finish it.
Yep.
And then I like to break my workouts down into, I like numbers. I'm a numbers guy.
Okay.
And so I'm like, hey, I'm 30% done. I'm 50% done. One more set, and then, you talk to yourself. Self-talk is kind of a topic that I've been working on lately, digging into with some instruction from some of the stuff I've been into. And, just talking yourself through these things when you have a negative thought, when you have something that isn't, because your brain's just going to naturally do that, right? It's just going to fight you, right? It fights you from wanting to do this because inherently, it wants to be lazy because that's the easy way, it's conserve energy. We don't know where our next meal's coming from. It's that old, prehistoric times of, it might be a week between our next meal, right?
Bro.
Exactly. So our brains kind of work in that way where it's like, dude, just conserve energy. You don't have to do this. And so, it's that fight of overcoming that. And that self-talk is where you can really start to stop that. Like you can catch yourself in one of those moments where your brain is just telling you to be weak. And you say, no, do something simple like a few minutes of pain is worth the next lifetime of of pride, right? Just suck it up and get through it, or it's just a couple more, right? So yeah. Anyhow, that's
you know what else I think it could be. That negative is Satan.
Yeah, dude,
I
absolutely.
When we want to improve ourselves, especially when it has anything to do with us drawing closer to God, he attacks. He puts obstacles in our way. He makes getting out of bed like climbing that mountain. He wants you to fail. He doesn't want you to draw closer to God.
Yeah, dude. Excellent point.
Yeah.
Excellent point. And that's probably more realistic, right, to the deal. And it's that he's putting those thoughts in there.
Yeah.
That's a great point, man. And that's part of why the entire package of Project Valor is so important.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if we don't have God close, if we don't have God close into this, we're training ourselves to be a weapon, right? We're getting stronger. We're training ourselves to become a weapon. And if we don't have God there to keep our our balance for
Morally,
good,
ethically,
morally,
yeah.
ethically right, right? I mean, dude, we could become everything that is horrible in this world.
We could, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that we dislike,
Yeah,
we
we
could
could
become
become
that.
that. So yeah, so great point, man. That's an excellent point on that. So we've hit on husband, we've hit on father. I think we just kind of touched on protector right there a little bit. I mean, we've
Barely,
hit
yeah.
on that in the past as well too. It's like, dude, if you're weak, you can't protect your family. If you're unprepared, you can't protect your family. You
Yeah.
can't even protect yourself, right? So I don't want to beat a dead horse on this, but I think it's important to reiterate that you got to have some capabilities if you're going to truly own the protector role in your family.
Yeah. Let's back it up though, because I think for you and I, the protectors thing is second nature. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are just closing their eyes, closing their ears to what we're saying.
Mm.
Ask yourselves, you guys, just ask yourselves, if you're in a restaurant and there's a big brawl that breaks out and somebody threatens your family, like what can you do about it? Are you able to do anything about that? You have to ask yourself that question because that's a sucky question to
It
answer.
is.
Like I know for myself, I'm excited. Like that's where I'm at.
Right. Yeah. It's
Like
like
that happens, I'm like, woohoo!
Yeah.
I'm-
First answer.
I might have a broken bone at the end of it. I'm probably gonna have a bunch of bruises, but you know what, dude? I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I know what the outcome's typically gonna be, as long as honestly, as long as there's no firearms.
Yeah.
Now, if we had firearms, that's the great equalizer, and that's where I need more improvement in my life, which you excel at. So that's cool.
Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, you got the physical side with that I need to learn more on as well too, right? So that's again why a brotherhood is so critically important.
True.
Right? We can grow from the experience of each other. And that's again 100% why Project Valor exists.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I agree, man. I mean, so this world that we're living in is growing increasingly wicked and evil, right? It's just biblically we're seeing, people argue whether it's end times or not, but biblically we're seeing wickedness repeat itself just like it has in the Old Testament throughout times at that point. And we're seeing shootings at grocery stores. Our own community had one a year or two ago at that point. A young man walked in with a rifle and just started shooting. And I look at issues like that, these church shootings that are happening, these school shootings that are happening, and you'll never hear from me saying that we have a gun problem, because we don't have a gun problem. We got a heart problem.
Yeah.
Right. We have a heart problem in this country. But the reality is that it is happening, and at some point you may get caught in the middle of one, or your kids might get caught in the middle of one.
Yeah.
And so if you're unprepared to be a protector, which going back to your point is people were turning that concept off. They're not hearing us, or just assuming that they're never going to have to use, or never be in a position that would happen. But that's just not the case.
You know what they say about assuming.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the same thing is true. It's always okay until it's not. I mean, seriously, think about it. Think about a school shooting. The kids are at school, everything's okay, and then all of a sudden it's not. Yeah. It's not like, hey, on Thursday, this guy's going to show up with a gun and start shooting.
Right.
Right. It happens when it happens.
And the Bible actually talks about that.
Does it?
It does. It says if the owner of the house knew what time the burglar was going to come, he would stay up until that time. But you don't know. So you fall asleep. Basically, he says, be prepared. And that's what we're doing here.
That's what we're doing.
We're preparing ourselves, and we're definitely trying to prepare a whole lot of you guys.
Gotcha.
We're trying to bring you up there with us. We want you here with us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Excellent point, and it's so funny how much stuff does come back to being in the Bible. Right? We're not. It also says there's nothing new under the sun. So we're not creating anything brand new by any means.
Nothing.
So, but being prepared to be a protector comes with being physically fit as well too. Can you manage yourself at one time if you were out of shape and overweight? Maybe, but is it worth the chance? Is it worth the risk? Right? I think of the Safeway shooting, or shooting that we had here locally at the grocery store. An old man was the one that stopped that. An old military veteran.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
and he
forgot about
died
that.
because of it. You know, he was shot and killed because of it, but he stopped. He took the gun away from the kid. I can't remember if he shot him or whatever the
Yeah.
outcome was, but he physically, and he was like 70 something years old. So just because you're
Dude.
older doesn't mean you're incapable. Right?
Right.
And that's a big message right now, because that's what I'm seeing in this world, is that our older generation is giving up their role as protectors, because they feel like they're old. They feel like they are incapable. They feel like, and they're putting their hope in somebody else to come save them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mistake. It's an absolute mistake. You know, you're capable. What's the Toby Keith song? May not be as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Right. So be that guy. Be Toby.
There you go.
As far as that goes. So yeah, building on being a protector, a foundation of physical fitness just makes it better. It just makes you more dangerous.
Yeah.
Makes you more capable.
Yeah. Not only can you move better, you can run better, you can love better.
Yeah.
But your mental toughness, your discipline has improved and increased. And then you're just more mentally aware too.
Yeah. I mean, so the only thing we haven't really hit on now is that provider aspect, but I think well, to me at least, it's obvious, right?
Yeah.
If I can work harder, I can provide more.
True. Yeah.
Right? If I can
Absolutely,
physically get out there and work harder, then that means I can provide more.
Yeah. If you can't work but 8 hours and you have dreams of becoming more than that, like, and then you come home from your day job, sit down on the couch, and you're not doing anything extra, well, you're just not accomplishing
Exactly.
So yeah,
You hear
get
these
up
guys
off that couch.
Yeah, you hear these guys that are successful, you know, like Andy Frisella, or something like that, and you know, he's talking about he would put 16, 17, 18-hour days in, you know, sleeping in the back of his first store, you know,
Dude.
just because that's what it took.
That's just what it
You
takes.
know, and so if you are truly dedicated to wanting to be that kind of provider, then you know that's what it takes. And if you gas out at 8 hours, if you can't get yourself out of bed, or you can't get yourself off of the couch, or you get in that routine of, you know, you're just exhausted because, you know, at 8 hours, hey, you know, you're going to get 8 hours worth of providing, you know, as far as I get. Maybe that's enough. Some guys it's going to be enough, but if you want more, if you want to build that self-discipline, that mental toughness to strive to be bigger.
Well, maybe it's not even financially more. Maybe it's just quality time with your family.
Sure.
Because I'll tell you this story. Like, I know my dad, he worked hard. He worked his butt off. But after he was done with work, he sat on the couch. And my dad's awesome. Like, I have an amazing, amazing father. But there's literally two things that I can think of that I saw as a kid, and I was like, I will not be that. And one of those things was being lazy on the couch. So now I am not lazy. I was when I started out. When I first started my family, I would, you know, come home from work, sit on the couch, watch TV. We're gonna have my time. But I slowly broke out of that, and it was a whole process. I had to change habits, and it was a painful process. But I got out of it. I never wanted to be the dad that was so tired, so exhausted that I didn't have time to play catch with my son. Because I remember that memory as a kid. I was like, I don't want that. So that's my motivation. That's why I'm like, it's a non-negotiable for me. Like, I have to be physically fit because I want to go play with my kids. If they want me to jump on a trampoline, cool. If they want to wrestle, cool, let's go. Like, we're doing it.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice. Great mindset to build on, right? And yeah, man. So I think we've hit across all of our notes. Is there anything else you want to hit on, you know, as far as physical fitness and why it's so important in not only Project Valor, but just in everyday life for men?
You know, we touched on it, but we didn't really talk too much about it. Others' perception of you. Okay. When you're a fat slob, people think you're a fat slob. Okay. If you are a fat slob, people also think you're a fat slob. That affects how they interact with you. Okay. When you are confident, even though you may be fat, but when you're confident, you're working out, you know what you're doing in your life, and you have direction, that right there sets you apart from just a fat slob. Okay. So working out is definitely step number one to getting you out of that hole. If that defines you, if that fat slob definition defines you, right? And you know who you are, you know what you do with your life. Because I've had some fat friends that cool. They're fat. They just suck at exercising and eating, but they raise their families well. They have direction in their life. And even now, just hanging around me, I'm sure that has something to do with it. They're exercising all of a sudden. I'm like, praise God. I'm happy. But so I want to make that distinction between, people with just laziness and no motivation, no direction, compared to those who actually do have motivation and direction. So yeah, because there's different degrees for everybody, and everyone's different, but everyone's life is different as well.
Right.
But back to the point, people will look at you differently. Once you start working out, they're going to look at you differently. And a lot of it has to do with the way you carry yourself. It changes your mindset, and that's what starts first. And that's what I want people to understand. Like, go work out, because it's going to change your mindset, and then people are going to look at you differently. I had that epiphany maybe 6-7 years ago, just the way I carried myself. Even I used to slouch. My shoulders were just kind of hunched over like this, and my posture was bad. And it was just a simple posture. Once I changed my posture, all of a sudden I'd walk in a room and people just had a different response to my presence. And I saw that. That was like an immediate thing I saw. Just like, oh, okay, chest out, shoulders back, chin up, walk in tall. See what happens.
Yeah.
And that just changed everything. I'm like, oh, dude, people look at me. They talk to me differently. They respect me at a different level. Like, this is amazing. Cool. I'm always going to do this.
I think that principle falls into kind of one of our, I don't know if it's one of our pillars, but it's something that's important to us as far as what Project Valor develops in men, and that's leaders, right?
Yeah.
If we're gonna change the course of this nation, right, we have to change the leadership that's in there, and that takes rebuilding men of character and principle and integrity. And and in order to be a leader, you have to be able to influence the eye of the people that are following you and their ears, right? And so the first step is that eye. It's like, I agree 100%. You walk into a room and you want to lead, and you don't command a physical presence, right? You got a long road to climb. You got a mountain to climb over to get people to go, hey, this guy is somebody worth listening to. But if you walk in and you have a presence and you show that you care about not only yourself, and well, if you care about yourself, you probably care about other things too, right? So they're walking in and they're like, hey, that guy, I want to hear what he has to say, right? Or that guy, maybe he has something positive to say about the situation, and they start to look at you in a different light. Just like you said, it's a critical component of leadership, right? It's a critical component of leadership. And your physical stature has a big influence on how that goes, right? When you hear about most of our generals in the history, outside of like Napoleon being this little guy, but most of our American generals were big men, right? They commanded men. They were big men. They had big postures. They had big personalities. And, there's something to be said about that when it comes in terms of leadership.
True. Also, yes, we want our men to be leaders. Like, that's important. Think of this example too, though. So let's say you got a room full of people, and there's you in there who knows everything about whatever topic is going on in this room. You're the expert. You know everything. You know a lot. You have a lot of experience. But here's the thing. There's another gentleman in there. He's a complete fool, but he's well dressed. His posture, he's clean shaven. He looks very presentable and approachable. You're in the room, you're seeing people flock to him, asking him questions, asking for his opinion, but not yours. Okay.
Point.
So you may be the expert on whatever it is, but if people don't see you that way, I want you to think about that, because I want you to understand, like, okay, I don't need to look like that in order to know everything. But if you want to affect change, and if you want to lead that in the way that it should go, instead of that fool leading it, because they're going to look into him to lead it, and he's going to lead it wrongly because he's the fool. He just happens to be well dressed. That means you also have to be well dressed, present yourself well, clean shaved, brush your teeth, whatever, good hygiene, look sharp. Yeah, sharp dressed man, as ZZ Top says.
I think that's a great point. And that comes, maybe that's not who you are now, but that's something that you can develop. And that comes from having self-worth, right?
Yeah.
Which comes from physical fitness, which comes from self-discipline and mental toughness, right? That is what you're talking about, is a result of the hard work that you could put in to gain that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's not something you can fake. It really isn't something that you can fake. You can fake knowledge, but you can't fake strength,
no.
right? You can't fake physical presence.
No. Yeah, you can't. And the reason why that's so important is because if you don't step up and lead, then somebody else will.
Right. In your family, or, whether that's your wife taking your spot, whether that's somebody at your job, that's going to jump in and take your promotion or your job, right? Maybe they come in and take it. Maybe you're sucking at your job and somebody else is going to come in and step in. There's so much value in just simply standing up tall, just simply sitting up tall, right? Just like
it's one of the most simple things you can do.
It really is. I think, like you said, you see an immediate response in the way people look at you and talk to you and treat you by simply doing that. Cool, man. Yeah. Cool. Well, man, anything else you want to hit on?
Nope. I think that's it for me.
I think we did pretty good. We're probably in under a half an hour on this one, which probably make people happy.
Good.
Maybe not. I don't know what time it is, but anyhow, yeah, man, we really appreciate you guys being here. We're growing. It's happening. It's slow and it's a process, but I wouldn't have it any other way. As far as that goes, it's earning it, right? It's doing the work. It's earning it at that point, which is, again, foundational.
Everything we're talking about that we're going through right now. We're just starting.
If we went viral on our first one, we're talking to the wrong people. Honestly, that's the truth. We're talking to the wrong people.
Yeah.
If we're in the socially accepted verbiage and everybody's on board with this, we're not doing we're in the wrong boat.
That's a good point.
So we're looking for guys that want to change, that don't want to stay status quo. We're looking for people that want to improve themselves and just become that dogs barking. Yeah. Become that difference in the world. Not just in the world, but in their family and hell, for themselves. Getting their act together. So yeah. All right. So thanks for being here for episode 4. Don't forget to go to our website, pvstrong.live. Sign up for our app. Check out all the information and tools that are there to help you along this process of growth and building yourself into becoming the warrior, the father, the husband, provider, protector that you want to be. And then if you like our gear, check us out at our store at projectvalorstore.live, and we'll go from there. So we appreciate you guys. We'll be back here for you next week, and we look forward to seeing you again. So thanks for being here, and God bless.
All right, guys. See you later.